Hey guys, Jason Stallworth here. Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, thank you for stopping by. Today I'm going to take us on a little journey into the world of looping, and we are going to be using the Digitech JamMan SOLO HD. In fact, this new version of the pedal was just released in July 2024. Now, of course, I'm going to share some live scenarios, kind of like you heard in the beginning, and how we do that. I'm also going to show you, though, how you can use this for practicing at home in your studio or really anywhere. We'll be connecting this to an actual amplifier. There's a really cool way you can use this pedal with an amp. I'll also cover the many features. The JamMan is literally jam-packed, no pun intended. Well, the pun's always intended with me, but it's jam-packed full of features. And hang around till the end. I'm going to show you a unique way I use looping live that I think you'll enjoy. First up, here's a simple and easy way that you can use the JamMan SOLO HD. And in fact, this is what I do at practically all my live performances. It's kind of what I've become known for around town. So just a simple loop right here. Now you can add more loops to this, and we'll get to that in a second. Before we do that though, let me quickly show you how I have this set up. So on stage here, you can see that I've got the JamMan SOLO HD connected to another effects unit. Now I'm running my guitar into the effects unit. I use a wireless, and then I've got the out of the effects unit going into the looper, the JamMan SOLO HD. Now the reason why you want it connected that way and not the other way around, so again, guitar going into the effects, then going into the looper, and then I'll share how that's going into the soundboard. But the reason that configuration is so important is because you want to record what you're actually playing at that time. In other words, if I had it switched around, then I would have my loop, but if I change my effects, well, that loop is going to change. The way I've got it set up here is I'm recording the loop exactly as it is so that I can go over and I can switch patches on my effects unit, and that's going to give me another sound without doing anything to the original loop. Now, from the looper out, I've got that going directly into one of the channels on my soundboard, and of course that's connected to my speakers and my system and all that good stuff. So next I want to quickly demonstrate how you can record multiple loops with this pedal. Now you can keep adding loops almost endless, and that's one of the features of the JamMan SOLO HD, is that you can add up to 35 minutes of stereo looping internally here. Now you've also got the option to use a microSD card, and that would give you, I believe, up to 16 hours of looping. So if you had some loops that you saved, that you created and saved, and you want to put those on a card, well, you can put that here, and you can see on the pedal here, you've got the option there to then scroll through what you've created. Now, a couple of other highlights that separate this new version of the JamMan Solo HD from its predecessor: it uses next-gen high-definition ADDA audio converters. Now, if you were to Google that term, what you would see pop up are audio interfaces that are used for recording. So you've got that pristine quality in this pedal, which basically means when you record your loop, there's not going to be a drop in sound quality that you might hear from some of the other loopers. Next, and this is something you may or may not use, but you also have built-in drum loops in the JamMan Solo HD. And there are 10 loops that were recorded by a real drummer. I believe it's the drummer from King Crimson. So if you use that, you guys know I do not use any type of drum tracks or even backing tracks. That's just a personal preference, though. You guys know that from prior videos, so I'm not saying you should or shouldn't, but you have that capability with this pedal, and of course you can use backing tracks with this as well. On that note, let's dive into how to practice with the JamMan Solo HD. Alright, so this first method, I don't really recommend it. I recommend the next one I'm going to share with you, but let me share this one first because it is simple, and if you're just playing clean, it's perfect. I just connected the pedal, the JamMan Solo HD, directly into my amplifier. So guitar going into the JamMan Solo HD, then from the pedal going directly into my amp's input. And this just allows you to do something simple like this. Let's just come up with some rhythm and we'll just loop something simple and play something over it. Okay, pretty cool. So you can jam, just record, anything, just loop that and play some lead along with it. Now, the problem with this connection, I'm going to show you the better way in a second, is if I go to change the sound of the amplifier. So let's just do another simple loop. We'll just do the same thing, I guess. So yeah, because the looper is in front of the amp, any changes you make to the amplifier, like switching channels like we just did, well, that's what the loop is going to turn into. So here's a better way: run the looper pedal through the effects loop of your amp. So you can see on the back of my amplifier here, I've got two cables running through the effects loop. And then if we look down here on my pedal board, and please forgive my pedal board mess, this is just kind of my temporary home studio setup for now, but I've got the looper pedal. It's in there with my time-based effects, which is just a delay. So what this is going to allow me to do is record the amp sound and then change the amp. I'm going to change channels on the amp, as you're going to see in a second here. So that doesn't turn the loop into that channel, but it allows me to have a different sound on top of the recorded loop, the original recorded loop. So anyway, here's what that sounds like. Now, I want to reiterate real quick, you can record your rhythms here too. So if you're songwriting, if you're just practicing and you're building up a song, hey, I've got this cool verse, but I can't think of a chorus, well, record that verse. You can do that right here and save it in the JamMan, and so that you can come back and maybe write the chorus or something like that later. And of course, you can layer other parts on top of that as you build your song. So this is a really good, I said, practice tool, but also really a songwriting tool as well. If you don't feel like like going into the DAW and going into the studio and all that stuff, you can just connect this pedal to your amp, and that's really all you need to get those ideas down. One more live looping demonstration I want to share with you, and it's quite unique, and I hope you enjoy it. But real quick, here are some of the other features of the JamMan Solo HD. So I think the coolest feature on this thing is the Jam Sync capability, which allows you to sync this pedal with another looper pedal, the JamMan Solo HD. So let's say you have, I'm envisioning like a duo. You've got two guitar players up there, so maybe I create a loop, we jam with that a little bit, and then you create a loop as well, and we jammed with that. So you can do a lot of cool things with that feature. And we also talked about the stereo capability. You've got your two ins over here. Of course, you got mono, but you got two ins over here and your two outs. Now, this would probably be really cool if you were using this with a keyboard that you're using in stereo, right? So you connect your two inputs here from your keyboard to the pedal, then go into two channels of a soundboard, hard pan each of those, so you've got like true stereo. That would be a cool way to use this. Now, we talked about the microSD capability to expand your storage. So you've got that here. Right beside that, you see you've got a USB input, so you can connect this to your computer and probably download loops or tracks or whatever. And I believe this will allow you to get firmware updates as well. Now, flip it around, we also have an aux in on this other side over here, and this would allow you to connect it to another sound source, maybe for backing tracks and that sort of thing. And you'll see you've got two levels on here. You've got a loop level and you also have a rhythm level, and I believe this would be for like your backing tracks or your drums or that sort of thing. So you have separate controls to kind of, you know, dial in the mix just the way you want it. You also have your little LED light up here, so if it's red, that means it's recording. If it's green, that means your loop is playing. If it's yellow, that means it's overdubbed. So that gives you just a very quick snapshot of where you're at. And to use the pedal, you would click this once, that would start recording. Click it again, that'll stop, and of course your recording will be playing. Now, if you want to just delete that entire thing, you can hold this pedal down and it'll clear everything out. That's how I use looping most of the time. I pretty much loop on the spot. I'll just loop a quick rhythm and then I'll play some solos over it, and then I pretty much clear everything out. But remember, you can save your loops. Now, to stop the loop, you'll just click this twice. Now, if there's one thing I would add to this pedal, it would be a dedicated stop button. I like to have that. Most loopers don't, some do, but I'd like to see a dedicated stop button on here. But you can, again, click twice and then that will stop that loop. All right, I want to share this last piece with you guys, but real quick, I want to say a huge thank you to Digitech and all the folks at Amplify 11 for sponsoring this video. Again, this is brand new by Digitech, the JamMan Solo HD. This was released in July 2024. I do have a Sweetwater affiliate link in the description of this video. You can get all the specs from that site, of course. And of course, if you purchase, that does help my channel as well. So I do appreciate that. All right, guys, so here's the final loop I want to share with you guys. This is kind of what I'm known for around the Tampa area. So here it is. And of course, what you're hearing is the JamMan Solo HD.